circle and spiral, like a wheel within a wheel, never ending or beginning, like the circles that you find in the windmills of your mind.
Visit StogieGeeks.com/Debonaire for a list of retailers who carry Debonaire cigars. Buy some today and get a little more Debonaire.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Stogie Geeks Show. We're going to talk about cutters. That's right. This is our Debonaire Ideal segment for this evening. And, well, look at that. Will's got the same pair of scissors going on over there. And, Will, you specifically want to talk about, like, the different types of cuts, but more specifically when to use a certain cut or not, which I think is good. Which I think is good. Good conversation to have. Yeah,
you know, you can't see it on my table here, but I got my basic double guillotine cutter. Yep. I have my Credo, which I use for torpedoes. Obviously, I showed you the scissor. I have a big ring gauge cutter, so I have one with a back, like an idiot-proof one, I call it. I got your bullet cut. But, and of course the V-cut, the Colibri V-cut. But, I think there are some cases when you use certain cutters. I don't think I've seen some people, for example, bullet cut a torpedo. I don't get it. I don't know why you would do it.
How does that even work? Well, do you do top and bottom like on a chisel?
Stace puts 2 holes into the side of the torpedo, and it comes more out the side.
I gotcha.
Yeah, I don't really like that. But, for example, the scissor. I find I use the scissor, the flatter the cap, then I want to take the scissor out.
Yeah, it's more precise.
Like, if you remember Skip Martin's Neanderthal, how flat that cap was?
You almost needed the Cigar scissor for that one.
I mean, he actually ships a razor blade to kind of take that thing off. I mean, but yeah, I find that the Cigar scissor is the only way I would cut that because I screw it up with the guillotine. It's going to crack it. I find with the guillotine. So, that's when I use that, and then I actually went and got a big ring gauge cutter. I actually got one for free at an event. It was a Monte Cristo, and, because I do smoke big ring gauge cigars.
That looks like a pretty nice cutter. Is that all metal or is that plastic too?
No, it's all metal. Well, this part's plastic, but it's stainless steel in here, and it works great. It's by, the folks at Altadis make it. And, if you're reviewing like a 66, I mean, the 80, it's not going to fit in. They do have ones, Asylum does make ones that fit the 80.
Yeah.
But, in general, it works great on a Gordo. Is what I find, because if you're going to use the butterfly, it's not going to cut it right.
I find that with the scissors, that these Cigar scissors only open up so far, and if you're going to cut a 60 ring or above with the scissors, forget it. Like it's just gonna munge it. Like it just makes a shredded mess out of it.
You made a really good point with that. You will not cut it. I mean, it will make a mess. Try Paul, you smoked an 80 ring gauge once, right?
I think so. I think I did.
I think didn't we do a show once where we smoked big? I had a punch. What I did with it, because I didn't have a big ring gauge cutter back then, I had to put like 3 or 4 bullet holes into it.
And that's a way to do it. Yeah. I mean, if you put 3 bullet holes kind of close together on it, that kind of works too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, what about your V cutter, Will?
The V cutter for me is more of a luxury type of thing. It's if I'm in the mood to just kind of get the smoke like that, I don't really have a use case for it where I'm going to use it over something else. It's just an alternate for me. But I found with the deep cut Colibri that I know we had Les on the show, this is the best one in the market.
I agree.
It's going to put a nice deep V in there, and it's going to be deep enough where it's not going to. I find V cuts in the past are uncomfortable to smoke them, but this puts a deep enough cut in where it's fine, and I'm going to get nice airflow through it.
Yeah, the standard ones on the market don't put a deep enough cut in, and I find you don't get enough smoke. What I end up doing with a non-Colibri V cutter is I'll make a plus sign with the V cut. So I'll cut straight across, and then I'll cut up and down. So making like an X or a plus sign in the, depending on how you hold it, it's an X or a plus sign in the back of the cigar to get enough airflow from it. And that does change the way the smoke goes into your mouth. And that does, I don't know if that affects the flavor.
I think it does towards the end.
Yeah.
On the,
towards the end, because in some cigars you'll get some tar buildup.
yes, I agree. It can
will-
have negative impacts.
Sure.
On the, yeah.
But bullet cuts are going to do that a lot too, because the tar buildup is less of an area, so you'll get more tar build. That's why typically I'll use a bullet on like a Corona.
Yeah.
Oh, so you get less tar buildup. No, that's a good point. I don't
like
use that. I know, like all my lighters. Well, none of the ones on the table, of course, have it, but most of my lighters have a bullet punch in it. I used to have a really nice Cigar punch. I wonder what happened to that.
Well, don't feel bad, Paul, because right before the segment, I was looking for that and I couldn't find mine.
You couldn't find yours either.
My lighter out.
It's easy to lose those things. I do keep a Cigar scissors on my keychain at all times.
Yeah, you know who does that? Michael Turner, the NFL guy who I've done the radio with a few times. He's a big cigar guy, and he likes the Zycar scissor because it also has the bleeder. So he can bleed his lighter. And then, if he can go get a refill, or if he has butane on him in the car, he'll go do that.
Yes, I agree. I use that all the time. That is the best bleeder.
Yeah.
On the market today in the scissor.
Okay.
Right? Like a pen cap. Or,
It's funny. I'm on the opposite spectrum of you guys, so I'll let you guys finish and then I'll jump in.
it's the best bleeder. I'm telling you. Well, because you know what happens? So if you look at this, I know we're talking about cutters, but there's a lot of cutters come with other accessories built into them. In fact, that little Zycar bullet, I had a little bleeder. I don't know if it came with it or someone gave it to me because it has a little like key ring on the Zycar bullet. And so I had a little bleeder on there, but it was in the shape of like a flame. It was a flat piece of metal in the shape of a flame. And I found that it almost, sometimes the release valve was too deep inside the lighter and it wouldn't reach it. But this bleeder is like absolutely perfect because it's got kind of a flat top to it. And what happens is if you've got a point like I have on this cigar poker, what's going to happen is it just goes in and just plugs the hole. And when you push it in the valve, nothing comes out.
Right.
This has a flat top to it, and you can bleed it, and that's one of the nice parts. Also, in a pinch, this is like a free plug for Zycar, you're welcome. In a pinch, you've got a little bottle opener. And I've actually used this to open several bottles of beer. I do it like backwards. I do it this way, hold it like this, and I kind of go around the top of the cap of the beer, and it opens it just fine every time. I don't use this, however, the screwdriver, the flathead screwdriver that comes with it, is supposed to be for an adjustment on your lighter. I find it's too big.
Well, too big.
I gotta get
or not big enough. Like it's never the right size.
I gotta get one of those.
Yeah, that's a good tool to have.
It's like a multi-tool,
I mean, there's other companies that make them too. This one actually isn't I don't think it's the Zycar. It's actually Gurkha. Actually, I got this one from.
Nice.
Yeah. The other cutter I kind of will go to sometimes is the one with the back.
Yeah, why is that? Well, I was curious. You mentioned that.
When my son was starting out like smoking, I gave him this cutter. I think it's kind of I call it the learning tool, but I'll still use it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, it kind of gives you a feel for what it's meant to give you a perfect cut. You obviously really can't use it on a figurado, though.
Right.
But
unless you want to cut it 8 times.
Yeah, unless you cut it 8 times. But, I do find it, this is very easy to use, too. I mean, you could just do a 2-finger motion and cut. Very easy with it. Where you could so there is ease of use to it. I don't find it's as precise is what the trade-off is with it.
Right. You cutting the same amount off each time. What I'll do sometimes if I have a flat back and I cut it initially and I don't have enough draw, I'll just cut it again with the flat back to take a little bit. And sometimes, even if you're an experienced cigar smoker and have cut lots of cigars, sometimes you want to cut a cigar multiple times because you want to just take a little bit off each time. That one with the flat back, because it's taking off the exact same amount every time, is nice if you want to make multiple cuts on the cigar and just shave a little more off. Sometimes I use the flat back for that.
Yep. I would not, if you're going to touch up your cut, cut it again, do not use this.
Right.
That is the worst thing because it's going to get
gooey.
Besides gooey and germy, and then I know we've talked a lot on the show. You got to keep all these cutters clean. I think Paul, we did a Stogie Geeks
short. We did a whole
short
segment on cleaning them. Yeah.
Yeah. I use the alcohol pads. It is the best thing I use, and you keep them clean. The cleaner that surface, the better the cut you're going to get every time.
Yeah, it's so true. You should clean them.
Yep.
We did a whole segment on maintenance because there's so many lighters and cutters floating around here in the studio.
Yep.
And typically what we do if one gets gummed up or something, we just put it aside and use a different one.
Isn't it always the best cutter that disappears, though? It's always the best one.
It's always
with
the best one.
Yeah. Or the one you'll lose. Let's say, too.
So
Yeah.
I have a picture. I should have sent it to the guys. I cleaned up my truck this weekend, and I was also putting on some seat covers. So I was, like, underneath the seat, and I was like, I put my hand under there, and I'm like, there's this, like, pile of stuff, dude. Like, pile of stuff. I'm like, what is it? I literally pulled out 4 lighters and 4 cutters from underneath my car seat and an awesome Benchmade pocket knife that I thought was lost.
It's a good day.
I was like, this is awesome. And I did exactly that. I wiped them all down with alcohol because they were all kind of yucky from being underneath my seat, coffee on them and stuff. But yeah, I found like 4 cutters and 4 lighters.
When
really
you
funny.
clean it with you'll be amazed how dirty they are. I mean,
Yeah.
just from a few uses, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, because the
Yeah.
oils from the cigar wrappers get on there.
Yeah, and then what happens is if it gets oily on that surface, it catches the dirt or dust in the air.
Yes,
So,
that's a good point.
Yeah. So it's
So
real
all the
important.
cutters I had to really wipe down because they were just filthy.
I mean, I've seen people say this cutter don't work anymore, and I've told them to clean it, and it's like a new cutter.
Yeah.
So eventually they'll wear, but if that's the way
It depends
I'm really
on it depends on the cutter too.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anything else on cutters? Joe, did you say you wanted to?
Well, I'm my usual go-to is the V cut. And
You like the V?
and I've got my hands on that Calibri
Yeah.
deep V cut.
Oh, it's
So,
great.
so I'm kind of really digging that. If I'm golfing, bullet, the big bullet, the bigger bullet.
You bring up a great point.
Because
Yeah,
it burns slower.
Mm-hmm.
It burns slower. You're out there. If you're golfing 18, it's guaranteed 4 hours and 10 minutes. No matter how good you are, there's always someone in front of you or back of you. So it doesn't matter how good you are.
Wait till I go golfing.
So especially there. But my lighter bleeding habits need to be changed if I'm going to continue being here. Cause
You just buy a new one.
no. No, actually, we're all amongst friends here, right? So I have a lot of wine. With cigars, and I have wine in my trunk. So if we go places, I have wine and whatnot. So I actually
So wait, you travel with wine and cigars in your car like all times?
at all times.
That's a good best practice.
And to be honest with you, this time of year is the best time to travel with wine.
Yeah, because it's chilled.
Because red wine should be served like around about 40 degrees.
Yes,
You know what I
yes.
mean? So it comes out better. But that's another segment.
Another segment.
But how I bleed my lighters, you ready for this? Is not good.
no.
I use a wine bottle opener and you have to go in on an angle.
Yeah, I've tried to do it with a wine bottle
I got
opener
the angle.
before.
If
Yeah.
you notice, there's a little groove on some of them, like the Cleavy's a little groove, like on the
Yeah.
circle. It's not a complete cylinder on some of them, or the knockoff ones there.
Right.
You just get it right in the groove, and it'll bleed, and it's good to go.
Nice.
So I promise I will change that by episode, what are we, 217?
217.
By episode 224, I'm going to have a whole...
224.
Yeah, I'm going to have a whole setup I'm going to report.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've all done it, right? I've done things like that. The only thing you got to be careful, I think, with a wine cutter, the wine thing is if it's a little heavy, you can actually knock that valve off, which I have done.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so some of them are real, like the good lighters, it's not as much of a problem.
Right.
Yeah, the cheaper
medium,
ones.
The cheaper ones, I mean, if
Like the
they're so- I'm
knockoffs.
not- the knockoffs,
the
yeah. I'm
knockoffs,
talking
yeah.
like the $15 to $20 ones, it may damage it.
Yep.
Right.
A golf pencil works good if you're in a golf cart.
If
too.
you're in a pinch.
If
I
you're in
can
a
see that.
pinch, and
Yes.
because I don't pop wine at the golf course. You know?
And all will work good. And all, an all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
or if even a very thin nail, you can get away with 2.
Yep.
But you gotta be careful because again, Paul mentioned that if it's flatter, it's better actually because it's a little wider.
Yeah, if it has a point to it, it tends not to work as well.
And don't use a pen.
No.
No, do not use a pen.
I can tell you firsthand.
Yeah,
Don't
I've
use
used-
it.
yeah, yeah.
I've changed the color of my lighter to
Yes.
blue many times.
Yep. For sure. So
But I just before we end the segment, I like a punch if I were to golf. But if I'm doing anything else, like I like to go fishing.
for sure.
I use a punch because a lot of times when you're doing something else like golfing or fishing or whatever you're doing while you're smoking, golfing and fishing are very popular.
Yep.
You're holding the cigar in your mouth a lot, right? You're putting it down. You're in the elements, right?
Yep.
You're not paying attention to the cigar. You're doing something else. You're squeezing your cigar a little more. It's going through a lot more stress. It has a tendency to unravel if you've done a full straight cut.
For sure. Yep.
Just because it's in your mouth and you're chewing on it and all. If you punch it, it's much better. And then you get all the tobacco in your mouth because you're holding. And I don't know, if I'm golfing, I'm totally like, hold on, guys, I gotta go hit the ball. I'm just holding it in my mouth.
Actually, I can do a swing with a cigar in my mouth. Full cigar, you know?
But like bullet punch for that kind of stuff is way better.
Yes, especially because of the elements. See, with me, it started with, when I used the guillotine on the golf course. I have a golf cutter that it's in my golf bag. It's got a bullet guillotine, and it's by Lotus, so it's got that there. And when I used to guillotine it, it would just come unraveled. It would burn. It's especially fall or spring golf here.
Yes.
Fishing, same thing. If you're outdoors,
you're out
working,
in the elements. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're out in the elements, also with the guillotine, there's more grass that can get on it with the golf.
Oh, because you just throw. You said before you just throw.
I'm like so bad. So there are some cigars that are totally not golfable because I'm just like, there you go, I just throw it. So and then I do my shot and pick it up, and
right.
It's a lot easier to get grass. You just go like that, and away you go on the bullet. Nice. Trial and error.
Nice. Awesome. That's our Debonaire Ideal segment for this evening. Stay tuned. Stokers of the Week coming up next.